The culture tells us that by being moms, it confers on us a superhero cape. Like, we're automatically supposed to be dazzling and sparkly and perfect. You are the perfect mom for your children. True. But it doesn't mean that you don't have room for growth. So just acknowledging that you have all this knowledge out there waiting for you from other moms who have done this well, and that we should be actively seeking that and asking the Lord to bring those kind of people into our lives and being hospitable to make it easy for them to interact with us and teach us well. So being humble, really, I think, is what that boils down to.
In your book, in chapter 2, I love the title of it, and it's called No Two Good Mamas Look Alike, Kicking Comparison and Embracing Our Giftings in Christ. And as you're talking about your mom, I'm thinking not everybody has a mom like that, and not everybody is a mom like that. And so how do we become the mom who can become a blessing to our kids as we're raising them? And how do we develop that deep, not just relationship with them, but that friendship? I mean, that is, I have 2 girls, and that is my greatest desire, is that when, next to them following Christ, of course, but that when they leave my home, that we will continue to be the best of friends, that we will get to continue pouring into their lives and just having that relationship with them and with our grandkids as well. So how do we establish that with our kids now, especially, and talk from a mom who has lots of kids? You've got 10 kids at home. And so that has to be somewhat of a challenge.
I think the first thing you said is how do we kind of learn to become that kind of mom? And I think we have to be willing to acknowledge that, and this is something that I'm addressing in the subtitle of A Rebellion Against Mediocre Motherhood, is that the culture tells us that by being moms, it confers on us a superhero cape. Like, we're automatically supposed to be dazzling and sparkly and perfect. You are the perfect mom for your children. True. But it doesn't mean that you don't have room for growth. So just acknowledging that you have all this knowledge out there waiting for you from other moms who have done this well, and that we should be actively seeking that and asking the Lord to bring those kind of people into our lives and being hospitable to make it easy for them to interact with us and teach us well. So being humble, really, I think, is what that boils down to. As far as developing those relationships with our children, I touched on this before, but there is also a cultural concept that we have to be taking our children on one-on-one dates and doing something amazing with them every single chance we get, or they will not have a good childhood. That they better have gotten ice cream and a pony, or they won't have it. And I have not found that to be true at all. So let me give you an example of something that is so simple and yet so impactful. If I run to the grocery store, I pretty much never go alone, because there's always going to be at least one child that wants to slip in the car with me. And they'll usually sidle up to me and say, "Can I go with you?" And I will say, "Sure. But if you want to go alone with me, if you want it to just be with mama, you're going to have to sneak into the garage, because 4 more are going to want to." And sometimes 4 more do come, and that's fine. But that is such a simple but intentional way of saying, this would be more gratifying to me for this to be me time, but instead I'm going to make this a tiny mini date with my 6-year-old or with my 10-year-old, or, the teenagers don't do that as much. You have to kind of do different stuff with them. But it doesn't have to be grandiose to make an impact on their little hearts. And it's more like a dripping. You drip, 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 and it fills their cups. And I think that it's so important not to put the pressure on us to feel like we've got to gush into there and do it big time all the time.
Yeah. That's so encouraging, because we hear things, especially on social media of, these moms doing these amazing things with their kids and taking them on these fancy dates. And I'm like, that's just not us. I mean, sometimes, we do amazing things, but not very often at all. And oftentimes, like you said, it's just those little times where they just say, can it just be me and you, Mom? Yeah. Yes, of course.
And say yes, even if it's inconvenient. There are going to be some days you need to say no for a very practical reason. But if it's just for our own convenience, we need to be willing to lay that down and say, absolutely.
Yeah. Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.